Saudi Arabia, homosexuality. Saudi Arabia has no criminal code as traditionally, the legal system of Saudi Arabia has consisted of royal decrees and the legal opinions of Muslim judges and clerics, and not legal codes, written law. There is no such thing as LGBT rights, and even advocacy for them is considered illegal. Homosexuality, including transgenderism, cross-dressing, and sodomy, are all punishable by imprisonment, fines, chemical castrations, and capital punishment. There are also no laws against hate crimes and discrimination, so simply identifying as homosexual could put LGBT individuals in extreme danger. There have already been 9 executions for various reasons in 2015 in Saudi Arabia. China, tax fraud. The actual number of people executed in China is considered a state secret, but the number is estimated to be in the tens of thousands. A total of 55 crimes are punishable by death in China, including some non-violent crimes like embezzlement and tax fraud. Death sentences are usually handed down with a 2-year probationary period so the government can be sure of the prisoner's guilt before executing them via firing squad or lethal injection. Polling in 2007 found that 58% of the population is in favor of capital punishment, but believe the government should release death penalty statistics to the public. Iran, execution of minors. The official crimes punishable by death in Iran are armed robbery, treason, murder, drug trafficking, rape, pedophilia, sodomy, kidnapping, and terrorism. Iran signed the Conventions on the Rights of the Child with the UN, which prohibits the execution of offenders under 18, but they are still considered the largest executioner of minors in the world. They attribute this to a difference between a Muslim and non-Muslim minor. For murder cases, most death sentences are delayed for up to 5 years in order to allow the opportunity for the accused to pay diya, which is a private settlement claim between the victim's family and the perpetrator. Iraq, coerced confessions leading to execution. While Saddam Hussein and his associates' executions for crimes against humanity may seem like a reasonable use of the death penalty in Iraq, they are extreme examples. Other offenses punishable by death include murder, rape, espionage, and kidnapping. Although individuals over 70 years old are not legally supposed to be executed, in certain cases they are still sentenced to death. The main execution method in Iraq is hanging. There is also at least one known case of minor being executed after claiming that he was tortured and coerced into signing a confession. Yemen, execution without trial. Yemen is another place where homosexuality is punishable by death. But the real problem in Yemen is not the official death penalty laws, but the extreme corruption of the government and its security forces. The police force has been responsible for inhumane treatment, torture, and even unnecessary executions of prisoners. At times there is no rhyme or reason for the incarceration of an individual, and they could find themselves in jail for long periods of time without legal basis. During these times execution could come unexpectedly and without explanation, and there is no way to stop it. North Korea, public execution. North Korea uses the death penalty for the obvious offenses like rape, murder, and treason, but those aren't crimes most people have to worry about accidentally committing. The most extreme use of the death penalty is on people who consume media that is not approved by the government. That explains the problems the film, The Interview caused last year. Other things you can't do in North Korea include possess a Bible, or distribute pornography. That includes lending your favorite video to a friend. Most executions are carried out by firing squad, and it is not unusual for them to happen in public. Sudan, prostitution. Another country where homosexuality, and also sodomy between heterosexual people, is punishable by death is Sudan. Adultery is also cause for capital punishment, as well as running a place for prostitution after 3 offenses. Women are often found guilty of adultery, buried up to their shoulders, and then stoned to death in a version of the death penalty called the had punishment. The had punishment is used for offenses that are considered, according to the Quran, to be against the rights of God. Somalia, adultery. As recently as September 2014, a woman in Somalia was found guilty of adultery in an informal court, and sentenced to be stoned to death. In 2008, a girl of only 13 years old was arrested and accused of adultery, to which she confessed. She allegedly insisted that Sharia law be applied to her case, which means the moral code and religious law of a prophetic religion, Islam, was the basis for her being sentenced to death. She was buried up to her neck and stoned to death in front of 1,000 people. Later, Amnesty International learned that the girl had begged for mercy, and had actually been arrested after being gang-raped by 3 men. Afghanistan, apostasy. Apostasy is the formal disaffiliation from, or abandonment or renunciation of, a religion by a person. In Afghanistan, turning your back on Islam is punishable by death. There are multiple verses in the Quran that condemn apostasy, making it a law based on the interpretations of religion. Converting to another religion is also considered apostasy, so if you are born to Muslim parents and decide it isn't for you, you are at risk of being arrested and executed. It is not even permitted to doubt a single aspect of Islam, either verbally or in writing. Officially, apostasy is still illegal in Afghanistan, but in recent years the US has been putting pressure on the government, which has delayed executions. Turkey, forced to commit suicide. Forced suicide is used as a form of honor killing in Turkey. Surprisingly, the high occurrence of honor killings in the country is in large cities like Istanbul. The most common triggers of an honor killing are a woman having an extramarital affair, a young girl having a relationship with a man, and even a woman seeking a divorce. Young boys are often ordered to do the honor killing because they will receive a shorter prison sentence. In other cases, the person who is considered dishonorable is forced to commit suicide so no one has to face any legal consequences. The city of Batman has been nicknamed Suicide City because of its high rate of forced suicides.
And nearly 200,000 Californians evacuated below the Oroville Dam. Hundreds of thousands more threatened if the country's tallest dam fails. We'll have the latest from Oroville. Officials in Northern California tonight, they're engaged in a frantic fight to keep the nation's tallest dam from failing. 200,000 residents downstream from the Lake Oroville Dam have been ordered to evacuate. State engineers are looking at trying to figure out a way to repair the crippled emergency spillway. The dam itself is obviously under threat. Fox News correspondent Claudia Cohen is at the top of the dam in Oroville. She has the latest for us. Good evening, Claudia. Great to see you.
Good to see you too, Lou. I can tell you that the situation here is fluid. We have a mandatory evacuation order that remains in effect. That emergency spillway that you mentioned that was teetering on the brink of collapse yesterday is holding, and the water level here at the lake continues to drop. It's now about 6 feet below the rim. It's dropping about 4 inches every hour. The problem is it needs to drop a lot more and fast. Engineers are focusing on repairing Oroville Dam's emergency spillway, which suffered severe erosion damage over the weekend. Convoys of trucks delivered boulders that were used to fill dozens of super sacks. The plan is for Black Hawk helicopters to lower the sacks into the damaged areas and shore up what is essentially a huge ravine that had never been used before. This weekend, there was no choice. The reservoir is considered full at 901 feet. As of 11 a.m. Saturday morning, the water was 6 inches over that limit and started to pour over the emergency spillway. By 3 a.m. Sunday, the reservoir's surface crested at over 902 feet. 6 hours later, lake levels were dropping and are continuing to drop tonight.
Continuing to fall. That's also an important point. Our objective is to lower the lake level by 50 feet in order to prepare for future inflow of water.
More than 180,000 people were ordered to evacuate, sparking traffic jams and concern among residents.
Multiple accidents with injuries on the freeway coming over from Oroville. We were pulling a trailer and it took almost 2 hours.
Everyone's panicking. Everybody just got to remember that we're okay at the moment. Try to keep calm.
Evacuees and engineers are focused on the weather as more rain is in the forecast for later this week. And a live look at this massive airlift operation that just began here a few minutes ago. A couple of Black Hawk helicopters just ferrying these big sacks of boulders over to that emergency spillway to shore it up. But Lou, I can tell you this is going to be one of the biggest and most expensive repair jobs this area has ever seen. More than $200 million just to fix up the main spillway. And perhaps you can see some of the spray as the water comes crashing down against the broken concrete there. A lot of erosion damage on the main spillway, and of course it may need to be replaced entirely. So this is going to be very costly, and again we have these emergency evacuation orders still in effect until further notice. Back to you.
Claudia, could I ask you one question, and that is, with the prospect of nightfall, will that interrupt the emergency repairs that are being undertaken?
You know, it's unclear. These emergency workers certainly use night vision goggles. That may come into play tonight. We're trying to get a little more information about exactly how long this operation will last. You can see they're picking up another one of these so-called super sacks filled with boulders that have been trucked in throughout the morning and last night from nearby quarries. And they're doing really quick work. They've already taken a few dozen of these sacks over to that emergency spillway. So this operation may not need to last into the evening and darker hours. But if they don't finish today, they're going to finish tomorrow. I can tell you that. They've been waiting here all day to get this operation started, and it started just about 15 minutes ago, and it's going pretty quick. We're going to keep an eye on it. We'll have more updates throughout the night. Lou?
Claudia, thank you very much. Claudia Cowan from Lake Oroville, California. And 200,000 people, as she reported, evacuated, and hundreds of thousands more obviously under threat. The good news is the lake's level is falling. Good news. Now the question is, will it be in time, and what does the weather hold in store for the region?